Okay, so I know the lighting sucks, but I'm trying to film this out of the ear range of my children. I've been seeing some stuff online today, and I'm like, everybody has a way of telling their own story, and I'm sure pretty much everybody's had some kind of battle with depression. It's something that a lot of people don't like to talk about. Um, People are ashamed of it sometimes. Sometimes people embrace it and use it to teach others. Now that I'm 37 and I've battled with depression on and off my whole life, I don't care to talk about it. And, I could have done it the way some people do, where I sat here with some instrumental music playing and flash you some cards and try to tell you my story, but 37 years is a long story. So we would be here forever, and I would have to buy like 1,000 things of post-its or index cards. So I'm going to tell you, hopefully the fastest way that I can. I was born in 1980 to two parents who were very young. My father was an alcoholic. My mom at the time was still very sheltered. We weren't dirt poor, but we weren't rich. And I wouldn't even really say we were middle class at that point. The first home that I remember was very old. We would wake up in the wintertime with icicles on the inside hallway. I don't remember much from that era. I remember I played t-ball as soon as I was old enough. My dad kind of pushed me into it, and I ended up falling in love with it. And I played sports from the time I was about 4 or 5 until I was 19. I was no school all-star player or anything like that, even though one year I made it onto a special team for the county. It was an all-star team that was hand-picked, and we would go around and play other counties. I've wrestled, I've taken kickboxing, I've done a lot of things. Growing up, I was very angry and I still believe that it is because growing up in the house that I did, we weren't allowed, it's not that we weren't allowed, but most of the only emotion that was ever shown was happy or anger. Nobody ever really shown a lot of other emotions. So it's what I knew. So throughout life, I was either happy or I was angry. And it took me a long time to control that. I started cutting myself when I was 11. First, my parents didn't really think too much of it. Eventually, I went into therapy in middle school. And to this day, I would show you, but I doubt it would show up on camera. I don't know if you can see some of the scarring there. I actually severed something pretty important in that part of my wrist, and they were able to glue it back together. I still have no feeling right there because I severed a nerve. Then just places that where I would slip and go too deep. I've got scars like that all over me. Like I said, I'm 37. Those were done when I was a kid. So now, since I've got a kid in high school, and she talks to me, she's very open with me, at least it's what it seems, and I hope that I'm right. But, she tells me, this kid cuts themselves, and I'm like, if they need somebody to talk to, I totally understand why. It's easier to deal with physical pain than emotional pain. At least that's why I did it. Not because I was suicidal. It's because it was easier to turn my pain into physical pain and deal with it than to try to deal with emotional pain. Emotional pain is the hardest thing in the world to deal with. So I've struggled with depression. I've struggled with suicidal thoughts when I was younger. I was bullied so many different points in my life. I was always the skinny, lanky, awkward girl. I used to hear all kinds of things about I was anorexic, I was bulimic. I even had a teacher tell the class this one time. When really I was dealing with, the doctors put it simply, that it was a nervous stomach. I was getting nervous. My stomach was producing bile and stuff to break down foods, and it was making me sick. And I lost a lot of weight during this period, but it was just because my life had changed so drastically. I went from going to one school and being in daycare to the school system no longer accepting transfers my last year in elementary school, so I had to go to the elementary school up the street. I knew some of the kids from playing sports in the area, but I didn't really have the friends that I had built at the other school. So yeah, I was bullied a lot. That's when I got my first fist fight, was 5th grade. Then in 6th grade, 7th grade, something like that, that's when I started cutting myself. That went on throughout my life until I was an adult. I went in inpatient treatment on my own at 19 years old. I realized that my social drinking, yes, I was underage drinking, and my social use at the time was becoming a problem. I didn't want to be an addict. I didn't want something to control me. I have to be in control. So I went to my mom and told her I needed help, and she took me. And at first they weren't going to help me, even though I said, I'm suicidal. They said, well, we put you on medicine and you take yourself off of it. Well, it's standard for somebody who's bipolar. I had to throw a fit to get them to take me. They weren't even going to take me because I even said, you let me get out of here. I'm going to go home and try to kill myself. If I succeed, I succeed. If I don't, then I'll be back here. They were still going to send me home. I threw some stuff across the room, started screaming. They finally took me serious. And so I went willingly because I was never committed. I signed myself in for treatment. I stayed the time that they thought was best for me. I did what I had to at that point in time to get myself healthy. Now, my life's been hard. I've suffered physical abuse, mental abuse. I've been raped. Which was a hard time for me. That's when I really learned the term victim blaming, victim shaming. Wasn't my fault. I thought it was at first because that's what a lot of people told me, even the detective. It wasn't my fault. I said no. Yes, I've been married. This is my 3rd marriage, but I've been with him longer than I've ever been with anybody else. I have a bond with him like I've never had with anybody else. I went into inpatient treatment again when I was 24, and I went and requested. I was pregnant with my youngest. I went for 2.5 days. It was one of those places where you could go anytime you wanted to. You weren't there. You wouldn't be committed if they didn't think it was time for you to go. You could come and go as you please. It was really for people who needed help but weren't really suicidal, which was exactly me. Has the thought crossed my mind? Yeah, but would I ever act on it? Absolutely not. Because to me, I know some people seem to think that that's the answer to a problem, but that's a very permanent answer to a very non-permanent problem. Plus, I've lost people that I care about, and I know how bad it hurts. I wouldn't want to do that to the people that I love. I lost people that I cared about starting way younger than anybody should ever have to learn about death. Most people that I've gotten close with in my life have either died or they've moved on for one reason or another, not of any fault of mine or theirs. I still have both my parents. I'm close with my parents and thankful that I still have them. But in high school, I lost 3 friends in one school year. Just due to stupid things. Like one, his little brother kicked a ball across the street, so he went to cross the street and get it and got hit by a car. Another was a group of kids, took a parent's car for a joyride, got in a wreck, was thrown through the windshield, she sat up, and another car ran over. There was others. If I walk through the cemetery where my family's buried, there's a lot of my schoolmates there. We live across from the cemetery. I've got schoolmates there. One of my dad's best friends is buried there too. Depression isn't an easy thing to deal with through life. I have ADHD and stuff too, and it's not, it makes things 10 times harder, and people don't understand. People get irritated. They think that it's stuff that you can help, and you can't. If you're sad and you don't know why, it's okay. Not everybody understands it, but some of us do. My thing is, it's okay to be depressed. Giving up shouldn't be an option. And I'm standing here at 37. I may not be in the best position in my life, but I'm happy. I really am. I'm happy. I still have my doubts at times, but I'm happy. I'm a mother of 2 wonderful children. If I would have given in when I had those thoughts when I was younger, I would have never met my children. I would have never met my husband. I would have never met the real friends that I have gotten. It's better to have a few close friends than a ton of acquaintances. I still see people, I don't have a lot of friends. I don't want a lot of friends. I want 1 or 2 close friends. It's really all I need. But it gets better. Like I said, I've been physically abused, mentally abused, sexually abused, and I'm here. 37 years old. Don't have the nicest house, don't have the nicest things, but I have a husband who loves me, I have children who love me, and I love them. So, despite all the bad in my life, if I would have let that overtake me and win, I wouldn't be here now. So, that is kind of my lesson. Yes, I've suffered from depression. Yes, I've been a cutter, self-mutilator, whatever you want to call it. But I'm here now. I don't drink. I don't do drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes. All of that now is family, been replaced with family music. That's it. That's all I need. So, if you're some teenager wondering, is it worth it? Yeah, if you want it to be. You can change it. Maybe not the other way people perceive you or the way people bully you. Those people, sometimes you don't know what they're going through. I realize that now as I'm older. When I was a kid, I didn't give a shit. But you really don't know what they go through when they're home. A lot of times that's why they act out and treat people the way they do at school. Some of them are just jealous. I see it with my daughter. She's gorgeous, and some other girls will be like, oh, you're ugly, you're ugly. I'm like, where? She is gorgeous. And she doesn't even wear makeup. I have these girls pile on 5 pounds of it I see at school. My thing is, it will get better. And look at me, if I had given up, I would have never known the life that I have now, and I love the life that I have now. It's not perfect. Perfect is a status that we all aim for that is just unattainable. Period. Stop aiming for perfect. Look at everything bad that's happened as a life lesson. Learn how to treat others. How to watch out for yourself. How to learn to trust and not trust some people. I'm glad I didn't give up. I'm glad I didn't give in to those things, to those feelings. So glad. Anyway, this was just me rambling, just a thought that came across my mind. If anybody wants to talk, I'm here. I've been through a lot. Maybe I can help you. Maybe I can help you find some help in your town if you need it. I know this isn't the best shot video, and I know I look crazy, but it's a down day here at the house, and I just felt the need very quickly to stop and film this. Just felt like somebody probably needs to hear this. Anyway, love you guys.